You are not buried. You are being planted. Right now. In this exact moment. In whatever season of silence, pain, or confusion you are walking through, something ancient is stirring inside you. And you found this video, or rather this video found you, because the next 48 hours are not ordinary hours. They are the hours that will determine whether what was meant to grow in you finally breaks through the surface, or whether you walk away one more time not knowing what you actually carry. They tried to bury you. You need to hear that again. They tried to bury you. The people who should have chosen you didn't. The doors that should have opened closed. The version of your life that was supposed to exist by now hasn't shown up. And somewhere along the way, you started to wonder if you were the problem. If something was fundamentally broken in you. If maybe the universe had simply forgotten your name. It didn't. What happened to you was not abandonment. It was not failure. It was not punishment. It was preparation. The enemy of your destiny does not bury worthless things. He buries seeds. And a seed buried in darkness, pressed under the weight of impossible soil, crushed by silence and seasons that seem endless, that seed is not dying. It is becoming. You are in the last hours of your burial. The next 48 hours are a window, a divine, irreversible window, and this moment right now is not an accident. Your life is about to change in ways you cannot yet speak. Don't you dare leave this video. If this message found you at the right moment, comment the word seed below and subscribe. You are not here by accident. Part 1. Truth of what was done to you. Let's start from the beginning. Not the beginning you remember, but the one that happened before you were old enough to defend yourself. Someone decided your worth before you could speak it. Maybe it was a parent who looked at you and saw a burden instead of a blessing. Maybe it was a friend who disappeared the moment you needed them most. Maybe it was a partner who promised forever and then walked away like you were a season they outgrew. Maybe it was a system, a structure, an institution, cold and impersonal, that looked at everything you offered and said, not enough. Whatever form it took, the message was the same. You don't belong here. You don't matter. You are too much. You are not enough. You are invisible. And here is the most devastating part of what they did to you. It wasn't the rejection itself. Rejection heals. Wounds close. Scars become stories. The most devastating part is that you believed them. You took their verdict and you turned it into your identity. You started walking through rooms like someone who needed permission to exist. You started dimming your voice before you even opened your mouth. You started apologizing for things that were never your fault. Your sensitivity, your depth, your hunger for something more than what this ordinary world was offering you. You shrunk. Not because you are small, but because someone convinced you that being big was dangerous. That being seen was risky. That wanting more was arrogance. It was not arrogance. It was prophecy. What lives in you, the hunger, the restlessness, the feeling that you were made for something you cannot even name yet, that is not ambition talking. That is your calling trying to push through a body that was told to be silent. And I need you to understand something right now, in this moment, in these next 48 hours that God has set apart for your awakening. What they buried in you is never trash. No one buries trash. You throw trash away. You discard it. You leave it on the side of the road and keep walking. But you bury seeds. You bury what has the potential to grow. You bury what frightens you with its possibility. You bury what, if left in the light and watered correctly, would become something so vast, so powerful, so undeniable that it would change the landscape of everything around it. They knew. On some level, conscious or not, they knew what was in you. And it scared them. Not because you were dangerous, but because you were destined. And destiny in someone else's hands is the most threatening thing a small mind can encounter. So they pressed you down into the soil. They piled weight on top of you. They cut off your light. They withheld your water. They spoke over you the language of limitation and called it love. But here is what they did not understand about seeds. A seed does not need perfect conditions to grow. A seed needs pressure. The compression of the soil is not the enemy of the seed's growth. It is the trigger. It is the resistance against which the root learns its strength. Every inch of darkness the seed pushes through teaches its stem what it means to be unbreakable. You have been learning. For years. In the dark. Alone. Pressing through soil that felt like it would never end. And in the next 48 hours, Something is about to break open. Not break down. Not break apart. Break open. There is a difference, and you need to feel it in your bones. Breaking down is the end. Breaking open is the beginning. It is the moment the shell of everything that was protecting the seed can no longer contain what grew inside it. It is the moment the pressure becomes the push. You are at that moment now. The things you have carried in silence, the prayers whispered in empty rooms, the tears cried into pillows at midnight, the hope you refused to let go of even when every logical part of you said it was foolish, none of that was wasted. Not one prayer. Not one tear. Not one stubborn, ridiculous, beautiful act of belief in something you could not yet see. It was all composting into the most extraordinary season of your life. You are not behind schedule. You are on schedule. The divine schedule. The one that does not operate on human timelines or social expectations or the quiet cruelty of comparison. You are exactly where you need to be. And what is coming for you in the next 48 hours is not a coincidence. It is not luck. It is not even favor in the soft, gentle sense of the word. It is a reckoning. The universe does not forget. The seeds you planted in faith, every act of goodness when you had every right to be bitter, every morning you chose to rise when your body wanted to stay down, every word of love you gave to someone who didn't deserve it because love is simply who you are, those seeds did not fall on dead ground. They were waiting for this exact season. And the ground is shifting right now, beneath your feet, in ways you cannot yet see. The roots are about to break the surface. Part 2. Weight you have been carrying. I want to go somewhere with you that most people won't go. I want to talk about the weight. Not the visible weight. Not the problems anyone can see when they look at your life. I want to talk about the weight you carry that has no name. The heaviness that sits in your chest at 2 a.m. when everything is quiet and the world is asleep, and there is nothing to distract you from a feeling that something enormous is pressing on your spirit. You know the feeling. It is not depression exactly. It is not grief exactly. It is something older and stranger and more specific than either of those words. It is the weight of an unlived life pressing against the walls of a life that was built too small. You were built for open fields, and they gave you a box. You were designed for oceans, and they handed you a pond. You were created to carry something extraordinary, and everywhere you turned, the world offered you ordinary, and told you to be grateful. And you tried. God knows you tried. You tried to be satisfied with less. You told yourself you were being humble. You told yourself you were being realistic. You performed contentment so long and so well that some days you almost convinced yourself. But it always came back. The hunger. In the silence between the busy moments. In the breath between conversations. In the space right before sleep takes you, the feeling that rises like a tide and refuses to be contained. There is more. There is more. There is more. You are not wrong. There is more. And the reason this feeling will not leave you, the reason it has followed you through every season, through every failure, through every attempt to silence it with distraction or resignation or busyness, is because it is not your imagination. It is your assignment speaking. And the weight you carry is not a burden. It is ballast. It is the mast that keeps a great ship stable in deep water. Ships that carry nothing are tossed by every wave. Ships that carry weight, real weight, important weight, sail through storms that would destroy lighter vessels. You have been in the storm for a long time. Maybe so long that you have forgotten what it felt like before it. Maybe so long that the storm has started to feel like the natural state of things. Like maybe this is just your life. Like maybe some people are simply born into difficulty and never find their way out. No. Hear me right now. No. The storm was not sent to destroy you. The storm was sent to teach you. To drive your roots deeper than they would go in comfortable soil. To strip away every false version of yourself until only the true version remained. To show you what you are made of under conditions that would reduce ordinary people to nothing. You are still here. After everything, you are still here. That is not weakness surviving. That is power in formation. And the 48-hour window you are inside right now, this is the moment when the storm begins to change. Not because the external circumstances of your life have shifted yet, but because something inside you is about to shift so fundamentally that the external world will have no choice but to respond. There is a law in the universe. A law more reliable than gravity, more consistent than the rising of the sun. What is inside always becomes outside. What is believed always becomes manifested. What is planted always eventually grows. You have been planting in the dark for so long. The harvest is overdue. But let me tell you something about harvests that no one tells you when they are describing the joy of them. The moment right before the harvest is the hardest. The moment right before the breakthrough is the longest. The moment right before dawn is the darkest, not because the darkness is winning, but because the light is so close that the contrast is unbearable. You are in that moment. The darkness is not evidence that the dawn is far away. It is evidence that the dawn is seconds away. And within the next 48 hours, within this window that has been appointed for you, that you did not choose by accident, that was written into the architecture of your story long before you were born, you are going to feel something shift. Maybe it will be a conversation. Maybe it will be a door that opens unexpectedly. Maybe it will be a thought that arrives in the morning like a revelation, quiet and certain and utterly undeniable. Maybe it will simply be this. You will stop believing the lie. After everything they buried you under, the rejections, the dismissals, the wounds, the silence, the seasons of feeling invisible, you will stop carrying their verdict as if it were truth. Because you were never buried. You were planted. And planted things grow. They always grow. Not when we decide. Not on our timeline. Not in the way we imagined or the season we demanded. But they grow. They always grow. The weight you have been carrying is about to lift. Not slowly, not imperceptibly, but with the sudden, staggering, beautiful force of a seed that has finally reached the surface after a long, long journey through the dark. Feel that. Sit in that truth for just a moment. You made it through the dark. And the light is right there. Part 3. Revelation, who you actually are. Now I need to tell you something that might break you open completely. Are you ready? What if everything they did to you, every rejection, every betrayal, every door slammed in your face, every season of invisibility and pain, what if none of it was about your worth? What if it was about your level? Stay with me. There is a principle that most people never discover because it requires seeing your own suffering from an altitude that grief usually doesn't allow. But I need you to see it now, in these 48 hours, because this revelation is the key that unlocks everything else. Not everyone gets buried. Only seeds get buried. Rocks are left on the surface. Debris is left on the surface. Things without potential for life, without the internal machinery for growth, without the divine code for transformation. Those things stay exactly where they are placed. The wind might move them. The rain might wash them. But they stay fundamentally unchanged. Seeds are different. Seeds are placed underground because that is the only environment in which their potential can activate. The darkness is not a punishment. It is a protocol. The specific conditions of pressure, moisture, and enclosure are not random. They are the precise requirements for the specific kind of life that lives inside the seed. Which means the specific suffering you have endured, the particular shape of the pain, the specific people involved, the exact timing and texture of every wound, was not random. It was calibrated. Calibrated to the specific potential inside you. Calibrated to the exact kind of person you need to become to carry what you have been assigned to carry. Calibrated to the precise depth of compassion, resilience, wisdom, and power that your purpose requires. You needed to know what it felt like to be invisible, because you were called to see invisible people. You needed to know what it felt like to be rejected, because you were called to create belonging for the rejected. You needed to know what it felt like to carry pain with no one to hold it, because you were called to hold the pain of others in a way that only experience, not education, can teach. Your suffering was your curriculum. And now, in these 48 hours, the curriculum is complete. You have passed the course. Not because the lessons are over, there will always be more to learn. But because you have learned the essential lesson. The one that everything else was pointing toward. You are not ordinary. You were never ordinary. You are a chosen one, and I do not say that in the soft motivational poster sense of the word. I say it in the ancient, terrifying, world-altering sense. You were chosen before you were formed. You were selected for a specific assignment that required a specific formation process. And that process looked from the inside like suffering. Like abandonment. Like failure. But from the outside, from the view of eternity, it looked like what it was. Training. Think about every person throughout history whose story you know and admire. Every figure, spiritual, historical, personal, who changed something, who built something, who became something that left a mark on this world. What do they all have in common? They all went through a period of burial. Every single one. A season of invisibility. A chapter of rejection. A wilderness of waiting and pressing and holding on to something they could not yet see with their eyes, but could not stop feeling in their bones. The wilderness was not the interruption of their story. The wilderness was their story. The burial was the making of them. And you right now are in the final pages of your wilderness chapter. The next 48 hours are not just a window of possibility. They are a divine intersection, the place where your preparation meets your purpose. The place where everything that was buried breaks the surface with all the force of life that has been compressed and sealed and building pressure for years. I need you to hear this with your whole body, not just your mind. What is about to emerge from you is not the version of you that existed before the burial. That version was good. That version was precious. But that version was a seed. What is breaking out of the ground right now, what is pressing through the soil of all that darkness, all that pain, all that silence, is not a seed anymore. It is a tree, rooted deeper than anything in your environment tried to make you. Strong with a particular strength that only comes from having been bent by wind and not broken. Alive in the deep, undeniable, oxygen-producing, shade-giving way that only living things can be. You are not the wounded version of yourself anymore. You are the grown version. You are the one who made it through. And the world around you, the people, the opportunities, the divine arrangements that have been waiting on the other side of your emergence, they are about to discover who you actually are. Not who they told you you were. Not who the rejection suggested you were. Not who the silence seemed to confirm you were. Who you actually are. A chosen one. Buried for a reason. Grown for a purpose. Breaking the surface right now, in these exact 48 hours, with roots that nothing and no one can pull up. They thought they were ending you. They were finishing you. There is a difference between ending and finishing. Ending is destruction. Finishing is completion. When a sculptor finishes a statue, the last strikes of the hammer look violent. They look like damage. But they are not damage. They are the final definition of the form that was always there inside the stone. The last strikes of your formation are happening right now. The sculptor has not abandoned the work. The sculptor is finishing it. And what emerges from these next 48 hours, from this window, this appointed time, this divine intersection of your pain and your purpose, will be something the world did not expect. Something even you did not expect. Because trees never look like the seeds they came from. You will not recognize yourself when this is complete. And that is not a warning. That is a promise. Part 4. Transformation, the life that awaits the seed that grew. Let's talk about what happens next. Because so much of your energy has been spent surviving that you may have forgotten how to imagine thriving. So much of your focus has been on getting through that you may have lost the vision of what through looks like on the other side. I want to give it back to you. In the life that is waiting for you, the life that these 48 hours are opening the door to, you will move differently. Not with the careful, apologetic movement of someone who has been told too many times that they take up too much space. With authority. The specific, quiet, unshakable authority that belongs only to people who have been through what you have been through and come out with their faith still intact. There is a kind of confidence that cannot be faked, cannot be purchased, cannot be acquired from any seminar or book or external validation. It is the confidence of someone who met the worst and did not become it. It is the confidence of someone who descended into the dark and discovered, with shock and with reverence, that there was something in them that could not be extinguished. You have that confidence now. You may not feel it yet because it is still pushing through the final layers of soil. But it is there. It has been growing in you through every season you thought was your undoing. In the life that is waiting for you, the relationships will be different. Not because the world around you will suddenly be populated with perfect people, but because you will be different. You will no longer attract what you fear, you will attract what you carry. And what you carry now, after everything, is something extraordinary. Depth. Compassion. Resilience. The specific gentleness that only people who have been broken and rebuilt can offer to the people around them. The specific sight that only people who have been invisible can use to see the invisible ones in every room. You will walk into spaces and people will feel something shift. Not because you performed it. Not because you demanded it. Because you earned it. In the dark. In the soil. In the seasons that no one saw. In the life that is waiting for you, the purpose will be unmistakable. Not vague. Not theoretical. Not a distant someday that you hold on to survive the today. Clear. Present. Activated. Because purpose is not something you find in comfort. Purpose is something you discover in pressure. And you have had more than enough pressure to have discovered everything you need to know about why you are here and what you are supposed to do with the time you have been given. The clarity is coming. It may arrive in these 48 hours as a thought you cannot shake, as a conversation that opens a door, as a moment of stillness in which everything finally makes sense, as a word that lands in your spirit with the weight of something ancient and true. Be ready for it. Don't miss it because you are still looking for it in the forms you expected. The seed does not know exactly what the tree will look like. The seed only knows that the growing is real and the direction is up. Trust the growing. Trust the direction. And trust these 48 hours as the appointed time for something in your life to shift from underneath, the way the ground shifts when roots finally find enough strength to push through. I want to tell you something that I need you to carry past this video, past this day, past every moment of doubt that will try to revisit you. What was done to you was real. The pain was real. The loss was real. The wounds were real. And they do not have the final word. You have the final word. And your final word is not defeat. It is not bitterness. It is not a small diminished life lived in the shadow of everything that tried to reduce you. Your final word is the life of a tree. Tall. Rooted. Producing. Giving shade to people who don't even know your name. Producing fruit in seasons when you yourself are not looking for it. Standing through storms that uproot weaker things, not because you are harder, but because you are deeper. This is who you are on the other side of your burial. This is who has always been in you. This is who has been pressing toward the surface through every dark season, every crushing weight, every moment of silence that felt like it would never end. And the time, this time, these 48 hours, is when the surface breaks. Right now. Not eventually. Not someday. Now. The window is open. The ground is ready. The sun is waiting on the other side. And you who were buried, you who were pressed, you who were told you were nothing, you who cried in the dark and prayed in the silence and held on to hope with fingers that were shaking. You are about to become everything you were planted to be. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for someone to notice you, to validate you, to open a door and formally invite you into the life that was always yours. You already have the invitation. It was written before you were born. And these 48 hours are the envelope being opened. The answer is already yes. The ground is already shifting. The roots are already there. All that is left is for you to stop believing you are a buried thing and start knowing, with every breath, with every step, with everything you are, that you are a growing thing. A chosen thing. A destined thing. An unstoppable thing. They tried to bury you. They did not know you were a seed. I want to end here with you, in this moment that was not accidental. You did not stumble onto this video. This video was placed in the path of your scrolling, your searching, your 2 a.m. restlessness, because these 48 hours are sacred. And you are not meant to enter them without knowing what you carry. So let me say it one final time. Clearly. Without decoration. Without performance. You are a seed. Everything that was pressed onto you, every rejection, every wound, every season of silence, every door that closed before you could reach it, it was the soil. It was the dark. It was the pressure that activated what was already inside you. And what was inside you was never ordinary. It was ancient. It was chosen. It was designed for a purpose so specific and so powerful that the only way it could be prepared was through the exact suffering you have endured. The burial is ending. These next 48 hours are yours. Not because you earned them with perfection. Not because you finally managed to get everything right. But because the season has changed. Because the appointed time has arrived. Because what was planted in you has grown to the point where the ground cannot hold it anymore. Break through. Let yourself break through. Let the version of you that was formed in the dark finally step into the light, without apology, without permission, without waiting for someone else to affirm what God already declared. You are not what they called you. You are not where they tried to leave you. You are a tree. Rooted. Growing. Uncontainable. Alive in the most powerful, undeniable, world-changing sense of the word. They tried to bury you. They did not know you were a seed. And now the whole earth is about to know what grew. If this message reached you at the right moment, if it found you in a season you haven't been able to explain, subscribe to this channel. More messages like this one are waiting for you. You are not meant to carry this alone.